The once trashy actor has now made it big and become a huge movie star. His manager updates him about their destination and is also curious about his habit of carrying 2 scripts. The actor laughs it off, explaining that he sometimes happens to misplace his scripts. It sounds like a dumb excuse, so the driver doesn't press further. But the real reason? You guessed it, the devouring system that helps him absorb scripts. And there you have it, his cheat-level acting system. But before we proceed, let's rewind a bit. We see a staff member on the phone, furiously complaining to the director about the filming schedule and casting issues. Only to grow even more pissed off when the bastard hangs up at a critical moment. Our boy watches the heated scene with that classic loser look, realizing it's just another day at work. Then, a staff member named Hyun suddenly spots him. Jae-hee approaches and greets him warmly, timidly asking if there are any new scripts available. Hyun thinks for a moment before pointing at a pile of scripts, explaining they're for the upcoming filming projects over the next 6 months. Jae-hee quietly realizes it's a massive stack. Still, he politely asks for permission to look through them. Hyun doesn't see any problem with it, casually says yes, and even compliments Jae-hee's diligence. He silently thinks to himself how unfair the filming world is for not noticing someone as hardworking and kind as Jae-hee. Meanwhile, our guy finds himself getting absorbed in the scripts. No matter the genre, every script is just waiting for an actor to bring it to life. But sadly, that's not something he gets to choose. Because let's be honest, who's going to hand over a precious script to a nobody? And that's why he keeps reading, just to find the strength to move forward. After all, having a positive mindset is a kind of superpower. Suddenly, he's jolted out of his thoughts by a loud argument nearby. Turns out, a blonde actor named Moon Song wanted to act in a thriller movie, but instead, he got cast as the male lead in a teen high school romance. Apparently, he's already done a ton of romance roles and now wants to prove his acting skills with a thriller. Jae-hee watches as the poor manager tries and fails to calm Moon down. While some people would kill just to land any role in a film, others have the luxury of turning them down. That's the difference between a hotshot actor and a nobody. Mid-rant, Moon Song notices Jae-hee staring at him. He quickly looks away. You see, the two of them started out at the same time, as trainees. But now, they live in 2 completely different worlds. So, it's not just inferiority. Anything Jae-hee does could be twisted into a joke. It's better to avoid the situation entirely. Jae-hee turns his focus back to the scripts, his resolve burning even stronger. But then, he's stunned. Above the script, a floating system window appears. You can see the confusion all over his face. And the strangest part is the words. Absorb the script, use train. Before he can even process it, Hyun calls out to him, apparently noticing he's been standing there for a while. In response, Jae-hee politely asks if he can borrow the script to practice in the rehearsal hall. We cut to the practice hall. Jae-hee wonders if he's losing his mind. Because now, every time he touches a script, the same prompt appears. He tries to brush it off as a hallucination, but curiosity gets the better of him. According to the system, choosing to absorb the script allows him to embody the character with 100% accuracy. At this point, he's sure it's not a dream or some weird daydream. Nothing makes sense, but everything feels real. If this system can help him act perfectly, catching up to Moon Song might actually be possible. He thinks it over for a moment, and finally decides to go for it. Good things come to those who wait. But the best things come to those who try. With that, he issues the absorb command. As the pages of Youth Train begin to flip, it's like a new world unlocks in his mind. He can clearly picture the life of the character, their emotions, their struggles, their story. Before he even realizes it, he's reciting a line from the script, fully immersed in the character of a poor guy confessing his love, even though it's obvious he's about to get friend-zoned. Jae-hee is stunned. He's not just reading lines, he's feeling them. He's acting like he is the guy. With that, there's only one thing that's certain now. For someone who's never even been given a role, let alone invited to a party, who could only watch actors win awards through a TV screen, Now everything's possible. Bro's officially aiming for that Oscar. With this in mind, he makes the first move. This is a rare opportunity, one of the most important for any upcoming actor. But there's a problem. Before the audition even begins, some actors have already been cast for certain roles. Still, where there's a way, there's always a chance. And not to mention, thanks to his devouring script system, what could possibly go wrong? It's time for things to be a little different. First things first, Jae-hee decides to approach team leader Park Chan. Park Chan is the leader of Management Team 1 and the very person every aspiring star must pass through. Jae-hee inquires about the youth train project, wanting to know if the casting is already complete. Hearing this, Park Chan assumes Jae-hee must be interested in one of the roles. Knowing that Moon Song had already been cast as the lead, and that he and Jae-hee have a bit of history, Park Chan feels obligated to let him know. Jae-hee understands that things could get awkward, but he doesn't see a problem. He informs Park Chan that he's actually interested in playing the role of Kim Do-hoon. Now, Kim Do-hoon is a supporting character. He's the best friend of the protagonist. But his role carries weight and contributes a separate subplot, just like in those anime where the side character has a huge backstory. The team leader notices Jae-hee's passion for acting, but questions whether the role might be too much for him. He explains that the role requires the actor to appear throughout the entire film, with a significant amount of dialogue. He suggests that Jae-hee start with simpler, smaller roles to build experience. But Jae-hee firmly asks for a chance to audition, almost pleading, like this is his final shot. Park Chan, though a bit reluctant, agrees. At the same time, another person overhears the conversation. Jae-hee recognizes him, Lim Jinwon, a talented rookie who recently debuted and has been landing a string of supporting roles. The guy cheerfully says he's looking forward to competing with Jae-hee and hopes they both do their best. But anyone could see right through the fake smile. Well, it makes sense. Compared to him, Jae-hee feels like a waste of space, just showing up to work, reading scripts, and never getting any roles. Yet, Jae-hee responds indifferently. Things are going to be different now, thanks to the system. We learn that a total of 7 people will audition, with 4 roles still open. Among them, Lim Jinwon is the only one who frequently appears in recent productions as a support actor. In short, someone like him doesn't even need to audition. That's where his confidence comes from. Meanwhile, Jae-hee is caught off guard as Jinwon strikes up a conversation. Actually, it's more like mockery. He comments that Jae-hee must have had a lot of time to prepare since he does nothing anyway. Just then, a pair of high heels clack into the room. Another actor enters, exuding an aura. Everyone, even Jae-hee, is surprised to see her. Not long after the casting director arrived. The actors immediately greet the casting director, who then explains how the audition will proceed. Moments later, Park Chan arrives with a pile of scripts. The red-haired actress from earlier expresses confusion, so Park Chan explains that the script is designated for acting. She grows annoyed, questioning why they need to follow a set script rather than doing free acting. Park Chan elaborates. Because of the director's tight schedule, this audition will focus on designated scenes, which is more challenging than freestyle acting. Lim Jinwon breaks a sweat. His confidence starts to crack. He asks if they need to memorize the entire set of designated lines. Fortunately, it's not necessary. Instead of memorizing everything and risking a poor performance, they should focus on embodying the role. While most find this difficult and stressful, Jae-hee is the only one completely relaxed. Bro is already devouring the script, no worries at all. Soon, the audition begins, starting with the red-haired actress. We already know she's done for. Next time, don't act arrogant unless you're sure you've got the role. Her audition doesn't even last 5 minutes. She storms out, frustrated that she wasn't allowed to freestyle, something she relied on before. Not long after, Lim Jinwon finishes his audition. Judging by his expression, it went well. But guess wrong. The casting director already knew him, so he practically had the role in the bag. As he leaves, he shoots Jae-hee a glare. Bro is about to get a much-needed reality check. Right on cue, Jae-hee is called in. Park Chan wishes him luck. Jae-hee heads in, assuring himself to stay calm. Without delay, he introduces himself. The director asks if he has his designated lines. Jae-hee affirms. This surprises the director, who asks if he left the script behind. Jae-hee boldly replies he memorized it. That's impressive, especially since the lines are extensive. The director nods for him to begin. Jae-hee starts with a scene from episode 5, 25 minutes in. Immediately, he takes on the demeanor of Kim Do-hoon, seeming to complain to the protagonist. Then, the scene jumps to the part where Kim Do-hoon loses his composure. Jae-hee's performance grabs everyone's attention, especially the woman sitting in the center. She's in awe. He furiously yells at the protagonist for underestimating him. Even his eye twitches, expressing pure frustration and anger. Just like that, he nails the audition. The woman can't hold back her excitement. She praises his performance. She even mentions the eye twitch, asking how he managed that expression. Jae-hee gives a half-hearted explanation, saying he was just in the zone. Funny enough, she had envisioned that same expression when she wrote the episode but couldn't describe it well in the script. Now they switch topic. Jae-hee then shares that he memorized the script in just 2 days. The director is stunned. Only 4 complete episodes were sent to agencies at the time, which means Jae-hee memorized everything. Aware of this, the director asks if Jae-hee could still manage if the script were longer or if the character changed. Jae-hee doesn't see that as a problem, even looking towards it in anticipation. With that, the director thanked him for his time. As Jae-hee leaves, they try to make sense of the situation, realizing it's likely because he hasn't debuted yet. Truly a hidden gem. Meanwhile, the screenwriter turns to the director, asking for his opinion. And just like that, they decide. The role goes to Jae-hee. Let's shift to our boy, Jae-hee, meeting a friend after the audition. On their way to grab drinks, the guy asks about the audition, but Jae-hee brushes it aside casually. Instead, they reminisce about the times they practiced together, taking part in every audition they could find. Jae-hee knew all too well. His friend Moon Hyun was undeniably talented, even more so than Moon Song. But despite the talent, he lacked that star quality. That's why he eventually gave up. At the pub, Moon Hyun feels a bit regretful about quitting. Reality had finally caught up with him. Still, as a good friend, he's happy to at least buy Jae-hee a drink and cheer him on moving forward. The conversation then shifts to Moon Song. Moon Hyun is surprised to hear he's still the same as ever. It's both funny and frustrating. After all, they had all promised to help each other out. But that fool just chased after fame the moment he got attention. Jae-hee doesn't want to badmouth the guy, but he can't help being curious. What made Moon Song change so suddenly? We then move to the smoking area. Moon Hyun offers Jae-hee a cigarette, but he declines, saying he's quit. With a teasing tone, Moon Hyun jokes that the role was getting to him and asks who landed the male lead. To his shock, Jae-hee tells him, it's Moon Song. At first, Moon Hyun thinks he misheard, but Jae-hee assures him it's true, even listing names of people who believe the film will be a major hit. Still confused, Moon Hyun asks if Moon Song made Jae-hee audition, which sounds far-fetched. Jae-hee struggles to explain. But deep down, he knows. He's just tired of watching others succeed while he stands still. He can't afford to be picky anymore. Who knows how long the system will even last. Since he has an appointment the next day, he tells Moon Hyun he needs to make the most of every audition he gets. Not to mention, he wants revenge on that fool for past wrongs. We shift to the next day. Jae-hee is now the topic of discussion after landing a prominent role that usually goes to Lim Jin-won. Just then, he spots Park Chan, who offers him a morning coffee. If there's one thing Jae-hee notices, it's that Park Chan's attitude has changed. Another voice calls out, it's Lim Jin-won. He notes that Jae-hee got the role, but it's clear he's struggling to accept it. Before Jae-hee can say anything, Jin-won shrugs it off, saying he has to be on set. Park Chan notices the look on Jae-hee's face. He remarks that Jae-hee seems genuinely happy after speaking with Lim Jin-won. More than happy, he looks triumphant, like it's the first real win of his acting career. Later, during a work conversation, Park is stunned to hear the director is rewriting parts of the script to better suit Jae-hee's role. While that's great news for Jae-hee, and clearly bad news for others, Jae-hee can already tell who's complaining. It's the red-haired girl from the audition. She's clearly worked up about the changes. He's taken aback when she addresses him as her senior with clear disgust. She comes to him, hoping he'll speak on her behalf since the director likes him. Jae-hee just wants her to get to the point. She knows he nailed the audition and admits she's scared her role is being reduced or worse, cut because of it. Jae-hee remembers being in the same position before. But he brushes it off and drops a bomb, reminding her that script changes are entirely the director's decision. There's nothing he can do to influence it. Ironically, those were the exact words Moon Song once told him when Jae-hee begged for a minor role. He tells her straight not to blame him for her problems or expect him to take responsibility. She looks like she's been struck by lightning. Annoyed, she snaps back, accusing him of trying too hard, asking why he memorized the entire script just to show off. Realizing the conversation is going nowhere, Jae-hee turns to leave. But before he does, he drops another bombshell. He points out that she's never put much effort into auditions. If her role is being reduced, it's because of her skill. He calls her a disappointment for once. He actually thought highly of her. He returns to Park Chan, apparently forgetting what they were discussing before the redhead interrupted. Jae-hee reminds him. It was about director Byung-chul, as he flips through the recent script. He asks Park about a rumor, wondering if the unstable situation is due to his recent performance. Still going through the script, Park Chan believes the rumor is false. On the contrary, he explains the director took a liking to Jae-hee and made changes, which is why the other actors are angry. He adds that it's common for scripts to change even mid-shoot. Some actors get more screen time, others get less, but rarely are they completely cut. That's why the redhead was so desperate. It's also worth noting that Byung-chul always has issues with lead actors, despite them being talented. He prefers actors who are reasonable and obedient. This leads Jae-hee to wonder, asking if Byung-chul ever worked with Moon Song before. But based on Park Chan's expression, he concludes, it's highly unlikely. With no further questions, he nods. As for the director, Jae-hee feels they'll have a great time working together. The scene begins with the first day of script reading, and Moon Song is a bit anxious. Jae-hee could already tell from a distance that the guy wasn't prepared. Even though Moon Song acted cocky, but that wasn't his problem. Thanks to the script devouring system, Jae-hee had already absorbed 4 episodes completely. Just then, the casting director arrived, indicating the start of the session. As everyone took their seats, he suggested they introduce themselves before getting started. Moon Song went first, introducing himself as the male lead of the drama. Next was a lady named Yeri, playing the role of Soyeon. Finally, it was Jae-hee's turn. He made sure to leave a good first impression and expressed his hopes to get along with everyone. With the introductions done, the script reading began with the first scene of episode 1. We're introduced to the plot, starting with the protagonist, Lee Woo-jin, a character who has nothing and comes from a poor background. In contrast stands the second male lead, Kim Kang, who comes from a wealthy family and is the son of a congressman. Between them is Yeri, or rather Soyeon, their first crush, setting up the classic K-drama high school romance. The script opens with Yeri having a conversation with the male lead, hoping to mend the bond between the two guys and help them become friends like they once were. In response, Moon Song, in character, is dissatisfied and refuses her request. Now furious, he expresses his annoyance, stressing the massive gap in their financial backgrounds. This was supposed to be the highlight scene of the episode, and Jae-hee immediately knew something felt off. The director shared the same feeling. So, without warning, he interrupted Moon Song mid-acting. Calmly, he suggested that Moon Song should hide his emotions. Since this was the first scene and he was speaking to someone he loved, his emotions should be restrained. Meanwhile, Jae-hee stepped in to explain further. He pointed out that the scene was meant to show contrast. Coming from a humble background, Moon Song's character should act with sorrow and humility, not anger. For someone who's been acting most of his life, Moon Song's character analysis was definitely lacking. However, he wasn't the main problem during the script reading. It turned out to be the second male lead, Kim Kyun, who was playing Kim Kong. Apparently, the guy was cast for the role because of his popularity. He was a model. Looking at the dumb expression on his face, anyone could tell how clueless the poor guy was. Nonetheless, the script reading continued, and it was Jaehee's turn. The scene practically played out like a movie in Jaehee's mind as the plot was read aloud. Moon Song, in character, opens the conversation, surprised to see it was actually his friend visiting. Jaehee, in character, politely affirms and explains that he has something important to discuss. Moon Song tries to maintain his pace and keep the conversation going. But Jaehee, thanks to the system, was delivering long lines without even looking at the script. Yeri was shocked. Not only was he not reading, there wasn't a single delay in his acting. As the reading continued, Moon Song suddenly froze in surprise. Jaehee quickly apologized. He had accidentally mixed up the lines since he was acting without referencing the script. This made Moon Song furious. Soon after, the script reading came to a close. The casting director thanked everyone and offered to treat them to a meal. He didn't forget to praise Jaehee for his outstanding performance, even calling him a rare gem. Moon Song, however, was clearly pissed by the praise. At that moment, Park Chan arrived, excusing the director and asking to have a word with the two. Outside, Moon Song vented his frustration over Jaehee's performance, while Park Chan tried to calm things down. Jaehee, as calm as ever, pointed out that it wasn't his fault Moon Song hadn't prepared for the session. But Moon Song crossed the line. He reminded Jaehee of how he once begged for a minor role, calling him worse than trash, and that's the reason he never wanted to work with him in the first place. At that moment, Jaehee had a sudden realization, as if a cloud over his path had been lifted. Apparently, anyone who's tasted success tends to see those who haven't as failures, but Jaehee didn't have time to reason with the fool. Moon Song saw him as nothing more than a parasite clinging to his success. His mood instantly brightened upon returning to the group. And of course, he didn't waste time joining them, who would turn down a free meal. As the group chatted about Moon Song, he arrived just in time. However, he showed early signs of disgust and refused to join, claiming his stomach hurt. The lady laughed it off coldly. Watching him leave, she turned to Jaehee, asking about Moon Song's strange behavior. In response, he just laughs it off, indicating he knows nothing. He then pointed out that they shouldn't let the food get cold. You see, actions like Moon Song's are one of the reasons many actors disappear from the film industry. It always starts with small things. It's worth noting that the beautiful lady's name is actually Sarah. I had to adjust the names a bit. There were just too many to keep track of. The great thing about Sarah is that she respects her juniors. Building a relationship with a veteran like her will definitely bring good things in the future. Just then, the casting director calls for a drink and a toast. Glasses clink, and the mood lifts. Jaehee seizes the opportunity to enjoy himself to the fullest. But the next morning, he wakes up to the warm sun kissing his face, and is immediately hit with a massive hangover. What's worse, he realizes instantly, this isn't his apartment. At that moment, he's surprised to see his mom walk in. Like any typical mom, she scolds him a little, saying that if it weren't for his friend Moon Hyun, he probably would have ended up passed out on the street. Apparently, he went for a second round of drinks last night out of excitement. She decides not to scold him further, and instead offers something she made for his hangover. As he follows her, his mind reveals no matter how long it's been, home will always be the same. There's always this oddly warm feeling about being back home. Just then, his mom snaps him out of his thoughts. She starts the conversation, noting that he hasn't been visiting lately. He explains it's because of work, and assures her that things have been going well. She's relieved to hear that, while he can't help but think, even in her 40s, she's still beautiful. And since he inherited half of her looks, he might be kinda handsome too. He's caught off guard when she suddenly teases him about the mess he was last night. Jaehee can only laugh at that point. Still, she tells him seriously that she wants him to come home more often, not just once in a while. If it had been in the past, he would have just brushed it off. He couldn't bring himself to face his parents without any achievements. But now, things are different. Now, his mom is finally going to see something real. She grows emotional when Jae-hee breaks the news about making it into the youth train audition. This brings a deep sense of satisfaction to Jae-hee. After all, he's finally witnessing the moment he's desperately wished for since he began acting. Meanwhile, his mom is already busy sharing the news with her friends. Remember, boys, make your moms proud. She even confirms that his name appeared in an article about the film. Jae-hee tries to explain the complicated stuff behind it, but she's not interested. She's too busy bragging to her friends. He just walks away, a little proud, watching his mom announce his movie debut like some proud commercial ad. Back in his room, he decides it's time to check out the script given by Park Chan. Apparently, a day earlier, Park had handed him 3 scripts, suggesting he go through them. The titles were The Artist of the Province, A Lady's Cry, and finally The Bus Driver. All part of new film projects set to start production in the second half of the year. Jae-hee decides to begin his reading with The Bus Driver. But the moment he dives into it, his mouth drops open in surprise. He's just unlocked a new system feature called Completion, after hitting max script affinity level. Looking at the script, he notices each one has a score, ranging from 50 to 68. At first, he thinks it's just download progress. But something doesn't add up. The system clearly labels it as completion, not absorption. So he grabs another script. Now he's shocked by the discovery. This new feature isn't just mere completion as the name suggests, it's the success rating of the film. The one he just picked was a box office hit, rated at 90 by the system. But another one, Salty Flirt, flopped terribly, and the system gives it a brutal 45. Of course, a high rating doesn't guarantee success, but at the very least, it helps him avoid landmines. He quickly tries using the skill on Youth Train, curious about the result. But to his disappointment, the system doesn't provide a score. After a moment of thought, he realizes why. It only works on complete scripts. And Youth Train is a live scripted drama, not a pre-produced one. Still, this new skill is valuable. It lets him filter out the trash. Looking back at the 3 scripts from Park Chan, he decides, they're not worth the effort. After all, more successful movies will come if he just waits. The next day, Jae-hee arrives at work, intending to find Park Chan and dig out a project with a huge success rating. Just then, he spotted him and he greeted him casually. They exchanged small talk about the previous night, keeping things light. But Park Chan seems to have something important to say. Before he can speak, he's interrupted by a phone call. Answering it, he smiles and says, Jae-hee has just arrived. At the same time, someone on the other end begins to approach. And our boy is shocked to see who it is. It turns out to be Hyun, the guy from the very beginning of the story, remember? The one who handed him the youth train. Park is happy to introduce him as his road manager, while Jae-hee is curious about the lady standing next to him. She greets them warmly as Park Chan introduces her as Jenny. Apparently, she recently joined the company and will be Jae-hee's stylist. Park mentions he has already handed over the schedule to Hyun, so Jae-hee should just listen to them from now on. Hyun is surprised when Jae-hee asks why he's working as his road manager, since he remembers Hyun being a department head. That prompts Hyun to explain that the downsides of being manager. Not to mention, the pay was low and the job came with a lot of trouble. Still, with all this, he doesn't mind being his manager, since he's paired with Jae-hee and believes working together will be fun. Having an experienced manager is one thing, but then there's Jenny. Noticing Jae-hee staring, she asks if she needs to go through the routine of promising to work hard or something. If it weren't for her looks, he definitely would have ignored her. Nonetheless, after exchanging pleasantries, Hyun suggests moving to a different spot to talk about work. Shifting to a cafe, Hyun hands Jae-hee a script. The content includes the storyboard for the teaser and a poster shoot scheduled for Saturday. Jenny also chimes in, explaining the concept she came up with for the youth train costume. Jae-hee is clearly astonished that they accomplished this much in just 2 days. The discussion continues with Jenny pointing out his outfit for the youth train teaser. At this point, Jae-hee is just agreeing to their ideas without a second thought. Out of nowhere, Hyun brings up the times when Jae-hee was constantly reading scripts back at the agency. He says he never doubted Jae-hee's potential and believes he only needed time to shine. Jae-hee just laughs at this. However, he's caught off guard by Hyun's intuition, who notes that when Jae-hee works, his eyes carry a hint of ambition. Jae-hee laughs awkwardly, thinking he should control his expressions in the future. The discussion continues with some small talk. Meanwhile, Jae-hee notices Jenny's peculiar attitude as she watches them chat. To this, he just gives a smile. He concludes that both of them are really funny. With that, Hyun happily proposes they have dinner to celebrate Jae-hee's success, and everyone agrees. They head out of the cafe, discussing what meal they'll have for the night. As for Jae-hee, he's happy that things are finally going well, starting from the next day. The next morning, Hyun arrives to pick him up, surprised to see him ready so early. To this, Jae-hee says he was nervous for his first shoot and couldn't help but wake up early. He's surprised to see Jenny again, because he vividly remembers that the lady went for a third round after they were wasted during the second. It's even more shocking, seeing her looking more radiant for some reason. So they hit the road, and since they had time before the shoot, Jae-hee tries on his outfit first. Hyun notes he looks stunning in the outfit. He can't help but give a thumbs up, saying he'll definitely give Moon Song and other lead actors a run for their money. Jenny, as usual, isn't surprised. She says she's never been wrong when it comes to visuals. Hearing this, Hyun tries to humble her, saying it's not just the outfit, but Jae-hee that looks great, and it would have been different if it were him. To his horror, she agrees, saying it's only natural. She straight up calls the guy unattractive in 1,000 ways. Jae-hee feels a bit awkward. He notes that she has a very sharp tongue. Reflecting, he feels as if he's sinking into character, thanks to the outfit. And not just that, for the first time, he can actually feel admiring gazes on him. Regardless, it was time to head to the shoot location. They finally arrived at the shoot location. They were so early that Jae-hee had 20 minutes before call time. Rather than taking Hyun's suggestion of waiting, he decided to get acquainted with everyone. Hyun didn't stop him, believing it was best since this was his first shoot. Upon stepping in, Jae-hee immediately greeted the director. Byung-chul was so excited to see his jewel arrive early. Before Jae-hee could say anything, he quickly pulled him aside. He was clueless as to why the director was instructing him to stand. Meanwhile, him and the casting team were impressed, noting that his appearance was spot on. At the same time, the second male lead and Yeri arrived, immediately greeting everyone warmly. The director didn't fail to praise them for coming early to the shoot. He quickly suggested they have coffee while discussing the storyboard. Suddenly, a staff member informed him that an actor was missing. Now he is scratching his head, checking the time, demanding to know who the actor was. Hearing it was the male lead, Moon Song, his expression instantly turned ugly. On the other side, a staff member was trying to contact him and grew desperate upon learning he would arrive in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Jae-hee felt sad for the guy, noting it wasn't his fault. Suddenly, Hyun interrupted his thoughts, explaining Moon Song was just putting on a show. Before Jae-hee could reply, he continued, only younger actors like himself would get scolded for being late. As for Moon Song, he was just showing off. Apparently, Moon Song hadn't been like this from the start. Ever since he began getting male lead roles, he picked up bad habits from senior actors. This made Jae-hee curious. Hyun highlighted that Moon Song was the male lead, so even if he came late, the crew would adjust the shooting time for him. In other words, this was his way of training the production team. Jae-hee felt it was unnecessary. Like, is it impossible for everyone to get along? Was there really a need for infighting? At this, Hyun's expression turned serious. Jae-hee was petrified to learn Moon Song had actually said those exact words in the past. Seeing this, Jenny assured him not to worry. It's best not to concern himself with things he can't control. It's not just Moon Song, everyone smiles on the surface, but internally, it's all politics. Now Jae-hee understood, it's not just the actors, but the director and production team too. All smiling, but secretly trying to gain control. Which, to be honest, was quite pathetic. Speaking of which, Moon Song finally arrived in a hurry, apologizing in the process. He headed straight to director Byung-chul, apparently blaming his road manager for taking a wrong turn. The two watched with dumbfounded looks on their faces. Apparently it was all for show. Naturally, no one dared scold the male lead when he claimed to be in a hurry. But Jae-hee inwardly disagreed, thinking Moon Song picked the worst opponent. Remembering his previous conversation with Park Chan, he concluded the director wasn't kind-hearted and often fought with lead actors. In other words, the guy was a troublemaker solely driven by ego. Reflecting on this, he believed Moon Song's act wouldn't work, only to be shocked the next moment as the director brushed the matter aside. Ji didn't understand, while Jenny just laughed at him. On the contrary, the director was just acting sarcastically. He even suggested they work quickly so as not to waste Moon Song's precious time. Meanwhile, Moon Song hadn't realized he had just stepped on a landmine. Seriously, the director instructed them to prepare, and now they have to start immediately since Moon Song arrived late. However, Moon Song tries to make the same excuse, but he's immediately cut off mid-sentence. Naturally, he should have adjusted the navigation if they took a wrong turn. Now both of them have that dumb look on their faces. Meanwhile, Jenny suddenly bursts out laughing. She's surprised to see someone fiercer than her. Apparently, she's aware of her own attitude. Next time, she even promises to bring popcorn, leaving Jae-hee at a loss for words. We are introduced to a teaser. Basically, a teaser is like an appetizer before the main course. Unlike trailers that have a storyline, teasers are meant to spark curiosity. Back to the story. The production team is astonished. Apparently, they're ranking second, and the ratings aren't bad. Meanwhile, Hyun is impressed by Jae-hee's appearance during the teaser. Even though his face wasn't captured, Hyun slyly advises him not to be humble. Jokes aside, his name is actually trending in search results. Jae-hee is surprised, not to mention, Moon Song didn't get as much attention. Now there's Jae-hee with that flustered look, stunned by the good results. At a time like this, it's no surprise someone would be annoyed. Guess correctly, it's Moon Song, frustrated and furious. Clearly, he wasn't impressed by the teaser, calling it a B-level sentiment. He storms off, annoyed that everyone's making such a fuss. Now the staff are confused, not understanding why he's losing his temper. Naturally, Hyun knows the reason. To understand, let's shift to the shoot scene. The director wasn't satisfied with the male lead, stressing the need to finish before lunch and get the poster done on time. He reminds Moon Song that they're in a tourist spot. Soon, kids will arrive and start flocking around. However, that was just the beginning. Even when the take wasn't bad, the director would still call for a cut. In other words, this was the director's way of displaying authority and discipline the fool. Meanwhile, Moon Song's frustration only grew as the director kept yelling, "Cut!" no matter how hard he acted. Now, the production staff talk about this. The one with glasses doesn't understand why Moon Song would provoke the director. Park Chan definitely already informed them about the director's attitude. A lady shares her thoughts. Knowing Moon Song, he was intentionally trying to show off as the male lead. Now the guy with glasses seriously notes that Moon Song messed up. Apparently, he made a terrible first impression, and his temper is no joke. Still, he suspects there's something behind his attitude. The guy isn't someone who can't tell right from wrong. Hyun agrees, insisting there's one main problem. And speaking of which, the person, Jae-hee, arrives at the scene. The next scene takes us back to the shoot. The director and the PD are having the best time working with Jae-hee. Well, it's all thanks to the system for making the character Kim Do-hoon blend so well with him. As for Moon Song, who is frustrated seeing Jae-hee enjoying his time, he even insults him. To this, Jae-hee doesn't back down, he straight up roasts the guy. Basically, Moon Song shouldn't be throwing insults and tantrums if he can't do his job correctly. We can clearly see the irritation. Still, Jae-hee continues escalating things, calling him childish for acting this way. Unable to contain his rage, he lashes out, calling Jae-hee a bastard. Now, this causes the recent discussion among the production crew. Apparently, this will definitely affect Moon Song's career, no matter how Park Chan handles it. And if things continue as they are, eventually Moon Song will be forgotten. Meanwhile, one of the staff tries to reason with Moon Song, suggesting he control his temper. Well, he's having a fight with the director. Eventually, he agrees, while complaining about how everything seems like a hassle. Now he approaches the director with a forced smile. He begins by apologizing, explaining he didn't understand the script. The director's expression turns bitter, asking if his explanation was so difficult to understand and if the script didn't emphasize it enough. To this, Moon Song sneers, asking what exactly the director want. Now the director, on his wit's end, shows the script, asking what he doesn't understand, highlighting the scene before his character gets mad. On the contrary, Moon Song was showing early explosive behavior, which was not in line with the script. However, Moon Song doesn't like the director's words, so the director helplessly explains in great detail that he acted with restraint. Basically, that's the nature of his character. However, Moon Song just asks why that wasn't added to the script, signaling the beginning of round 2. The director, almost like he could pull his hair out, lashes out, blaming him for his poor character analysis. And just like that, it becomes a heated argument, with both sides exchanging harsh words. Meanwhile, as the production crew desperately hopes for Park Chan to show up. Meanwhile, Jenny is having the time of her life, noting its pure cinema while enjoying her popcorn. Only now does Jae-hee realize she wasn't joking about bringing popcorn. Meanwhile, the argument continues and becomes even fiercer. The director, with an ugly expression, calls for the assistant director. He demands Moon Song leave the set and go through the script, and that they're shooting the next scene. With that, he orders the camera to be reset. Immediately, a staff member approaches Jae-hee, informing him it's his turn and hoping he's ready, which he agrees to. They also inform the next actor. Seeing Jae-hee, she greets him warmly. Apparently her name is Carol, and she's a junior to Jae-hee despite having already debuted. Nonetheless, Jae-hee suggests she address him properly since he's a bit older. Look at that smile as she agrees. Jae-hee, all smiles, can already tell they'll definitely get along without any problems. Suddenly, the director approaches, feeling sorry for the sudden scene change. Hearing that they're okay with the change, he suggests they rehearse the scene. Jae-hee is really a great help, as he accurately describes the content of the scene to the director. He also realizes the scene will be recorded with a moving camera. Look at him, acting all affectionate as he politely asks for Carol's hand. The girl is smitten. However, it's just acting. Meanwhile, the director is impressed by the two. With that, it's time for the actual take. Just like the chapter ends, with them casually sharing their life together. This time, Park Chan, the team leader, has arrived to question Moon Song's recent actions. Moon Song explains that he can't act the scene helplessly. Seriously, Park Chan reminds him that he already warned him beforehand about the director and his personality. To this, Moon Song replies that he didn't want a romantic play in the first place, which annoys Park Chan. He asks if Moon Song is really in a position to be picky. To be honest, arriving late by a few minutes is one thing, but swearing in front of the crew and arguing with the director is a completely different matter. Not to mention the childish grudge he has against Jae-hee. At the same time, he spots Jae-hee. His facial expression immediately turns ugly. With that, he storms off, even though Park Chan was still talking. Hyun, a bit curious, asks if Moon Song will continue the play. Well, apparently, he has no choice. The agency was only doing this to help him close her loss from his failed project. Meanwhile, let's shift to the couple's acting scene. The plot shows Kim Do-hun, or rather, Jae-hee, finally meeting her after what seems like a very long time. With that, the director calls cut, wrapping up the scene. Watching the scene from the laptop screen, the director thinks, yes, this is exactly what he had in mind. There he is, with that look on his face, as Jae-hee approaches. Jae-hee politely requests permission to see his team leader, if he's done filming. The director notes that he's a good kid and grants him permission. Apparently, this was part of Jae-hee's plan. Meanwhile, we turn to Park Chan, who is still frustrated by Moon Song ignoring him, while Hyun tries his best to calm him down. Just then, Jae-hee arrives. He casually greets them. However, Park Chan is thrilled to see him, even mentioning that other actors now wish to work with him after witnessing his performance. He also wishes Jae-hee well and hopes he doesn't become a handful like Moon Song. With that, he leaves the two to chat while he goes to see the director to discuss a few things. Hyun pats Jae-hee's shoulder, relieved to be working with him and saying there's nothing to worry about in the future. Jae-hee fakes a smile, noting that as an A-list actor, he naturally has no reason to be arrogant. Well, it's not that he isn't ambitious. In fact, he promises that in just a year, he'll rise to the top. Let's shift back to the set. Work is going smoothly now. It's all thanks to Park Chan arriving on set. However, not everyone is happy about this development. Jenny is dissatisfied with the working atmosphere. And there's Jae-hee, with that stupid look on his face, shocked to see she actually brought 2 buckets of popcorn. Hyun, however, notes that the working atmosphere is nice, completely ignoring Jenny's complaints. Even more shocking, Moon Song has finally calmed down. With that, he gets a call, not forgetting to inform Jae-hee about the interview scheduled after filming in the afternoon. Meanwhile, Jae-hee can see Moon Song forcefully suppressing his temper. Apparently, Park Chan must have told him the truth. As usual, it's none of his concern. Just then, Hyun ends the call and tries to get Jae-hee's attention. However, before we can learn what the call was about, the scene changes. A staff member informs the actors they need to sign posters and distribute them along with pamphlets. And yes, they need to sign all of them. Basically, the teaser got a lot of attention, so it's normal that the press conference was expanded, along with media coverage and related stuff. Reflecting, Jae-hee concludes it's going to be exhausting. But still, having his autograph on his first poster is somewhat of an achievement. With that done, it's time to meet the reporters. As the team prepares for the event, our boy grows curious, but tries to remain calm.
The scene opened with a reporter raising his hand, asking Jae-hee a question on everyone's mind. Rumors have been circling that the director had tweaked the script just to make Jae-hee shine. The reporter wanted confirmation. Jae-hee handled it like a pro. Calm, collected, he admitted that the director had indeed favored him. But he quickly added that the changes weren't just about him. They were to create a stronger storyline overall. He even used the spotlight to thank the director and writer, turning what could have been gossip into a graceful appreciation speech. The press conference ended, and the interview went live instantly. Within hours, Jae-hee's name started making rounds. Articles popped up praising him. Reading one of them, he allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Just then, a colleague showed up. The group had plans for an after-party, and Jae-hee asked if the director would be joining. Unfortunately, the man of the hour was stuck revising scripts with the writers. As Jae-hee mulled over the idea, his manager approached. With a puzzled look, he asked if it was alright for him to tag along. Manager Hyun agreed, but threw in a warning, no going wild. Later, Jae-hee arrived at the party location. After confirming his reservation, a staff member guided him inside. The group welcomed him warmly, surprised yet happy he actually showed up. Taking a seat, Jae-hee asked about the missing cast members. The group scrambled for excuses, none of them convincing. Jae-hee couldn't shake the awkwardness, suspecting the absence had something to do with his beef with Moon during a previous scene. Yeri tried to smooth things over, said it was natural. When different people come together, clashes happen. She even added that she hoped Jae-hee and Moon would reconcile soon. That's when Jae-hee dropped the bomb. He described Moon as childish, the kind of guy who always needed things his way. Deep down, he knew Moon's behavior was only destroying his own reputation. Still, Jae-hee suddenly apologized for talking behind Moon's back. The group, however, didn't disagree. They clearly felt the same way. Yeri quickly shifted the mood by placing food and drink orders. Not long after, Kim Kyun suddenly collapsed forward. In case you forgot, he is the second male lead, not from exhaustion, but from stress. His looming military service weighed heavy, the unavoidable rite of passage every Korean youth faced. Jae-hee played the supportive friend, offering reassurance that somehow lightened the moment. For the first time, the conversation felt warm, genuine, and more about life than work. Jae turned to Yeri and asked about her past job. She revealed she had once been an idol trainee, but switched lanes into acting. Her position in the group had been shaky, so she chose survival over staying in limbo. Jae silently respected her honesty, noting that she was a talented actress regardless of her rocky past. Then, attention shifted to Kim Kyun. He confessed that acting wasn't even his dream. His company pushed him into it because of his face. His acting, by his own admission, sucked. Even the director once joked that him simply standing in a scene was his best contribution. Jae almost choked on his drink when Kim Kyun suddenly asked for guidance. The younger actor was relentless, praising Jaehee's script memorization skills like they were some divine gift. When Jae refused, Kim Kyun wrapped an arm around him dramatically, whining like a child. The group laughed, but Yeri, a little tipsy, chimed in. She had heard the same thing from Jaehee's stylist, that he never seemed to reference scripts on set. Kim Kyun's eyes widened in disbelief. Carol joined in, echoing the same thought. Yeri leaned closer, squinting suspiciously. It was strange, almost eerie, that Jae never once pulled out a script, despite his flawless memory. Her alcohol-soaked intuition whispered that he was hiding something. The table grew quieter, their curiosity sharpening. Jae looked horrified, wondering if they were about to discover his secret. In response, Yeri appeared calculative, while Carol chimed in with a curious expression. That's when Yeri dropped the bombshell, assuming Jae was simply smart. That's why he could memorize scripts so easily. Carol found it funny, believing Yeri was just suggesting that Jae practiced hard at home. Jae is too stunned to react, remained frozen. Meanwhile, Kim Kyun thought Jae was some kind of prodigy who had studied at the National University or even Harvard. Since Yeri believed she had solved a big mystery, Jae decided to play along with her assumption. Soon after, their glasses clinked together in celebration, and they shared a cheerful moment. Though relieved, Jae reminded himself to be more careful moving forward. The next day arrived. As usual, the director's strict work ethic kept everyone on edge because of the looming filming deadline. Seeing Jae's worried expression, his manager reassured him that things would be different in the future. Different directors meant different work ethics. Stress was part of the job, but that was also why they were getting paid. He added that both he and Jenny were lucky not to be working with someone like Moon Song and hoped Jae wouldn't end up like him. Soon, it was time for Jae to head to the set. Days passed, and at last, the day of the first broadcast arrived. The director gathered everyone, celebrating and thanking them for their hard work. Though much remained ahead, he urged them to drink in celebration. A staff member remarked that this project was basically Jae's debut, wondering aloud if his parents were proud, leading Jae to picture his mother glued to the screen, eagerly awaiting the first episode. Right on cue, it was about to begin. Yeri urged everyone to be quiet. At the same time, Jae's manager steps in. He congratulates him on his first debut work. Jae thanked him, noting how perfectly timed his entry were. From the TV, the announcer introduced the beginning of the first episode. Moments later, they all watched as it came to an end. Throughout the broadcast, the director had been taking notes. At one point, Carol appeared on screen with a cuff button missing, and Yeri quickly reminded her to be careful next time. When Jae's part came up, he watched intently. A sense of warmth and accomplishment welled up inside him, shifting the atmosphere around the group. As the announcer declared the end of the episode, everyone celebrated the success of the project. Jae marveled at how well the episode turned out. Eagerly, he pulled out his phone to check the reviews online. The rating was at 5.6, but steadily climbing. The following day, Jae dragged himself to work looking completely drained. The excitement from last night had led to too many drinks, and now the after effects showed clearly on his face. Entering the meeting room, He greeted team leader Park and his manager. Both of them looked just as wrecked, still suffering from yesterday's drinking session. In contrast, Jenny appeared fresh and radiant as always. With a playful smile, she teased the men, asking if they had gone for a sixth round without inviting her. Jaehee froze, pulling that familiar dumbfounded expression, stunned by her words. With the light moment over, team leader Park took the stage. He presented the overall ratings chart of Youth Train across 3 major platforms. To everyone's dismay, the show had dropped to 3rd place. Jaehee was visibly shocked, as they had previously held 2nd. Park, however, remained calm. He explained that the decline was expected, especially since Youth Train hadn't premiered earlier than some competitors. Their true rival, he pointed out, was Love Awesome, which aired on the same day and currently sat in 2nd place. Jaehee silently notes the main reason for its success was the presence of the popular actress Hwang Jia, whose star power boosted ratings. Although disappointed that the opposing show leaned heavily on celebrity influence, Jaehee listened as Park emphasized the positive side. Their own first episode had not received any negative reviews, which was a promising sign. Just as the mood was stabilizing, Moon Song suddenly interrupted, loudly blaming the director for their situation. His attitude was so over the top, it was surprising anyone had even noticed him until now. Park brushed aside the complaint, reminding everyone that ratings were the production team's concern, not theirs. Still sulking, Moon Song stormed out of the room in frustration. Jaehee couldn't resist flashing a mocking grin, clearly ridiculing the outburst. Then Park remembered it was supposed to be Jaehee's day off. Before the question even left his lips, Jaehee gestured to the massive pile of scripts stacked behind him. Park blinked in confusion. He had never seen anyone so intense about work. Jaehee only laughed it off, casually revealing that he had already read through all of them. Park was stunned. Jaehee went further, commenting that none of the scripts stood out to him. Park didn't believe it, doubting Jaehee had read them thoroughly. To test him, he offers a script he felt suited Jaehee perfectly. But Jaehee quickly explained why it wouldn't work. Despite the big role, the character was pathetic, the story ended poorly, and overall it had one of the lowest ratings from the system. Intrigued, Park asked about the other scripts. Jaehee's answer remained the same. None were striking. At that point, his manager stepped in, praising Jaehee's sharp judgment in evaluating projects. Even Jenny gave him a playful thumbs up, remarking that he seemed more like a seasoned critic than a rookie actor. Since Jaehee was still at the start of his acting career, choosing the right project is critical. Acknowledging this, Park decided to hand over a set of scripts he hadn't yet reviewed. Jaehee smirked with confidence and boldly declared he could finish them in 10 minutes. Park was left dumbfounded, questioning if he had heard correctly. In a private room, as Jaehee flipped through the scripts, his manager discovered one particularly intriguing project. He pointed it out, explaining the plot had a clever twist and a satisfying ending, clearly a strong contender. With the system's help, Jaehee confirmed the film, titled Underdog Boxer, had a score of 91 out of 100. The only drawback was that casting would require taller co-stars if Jaehee played the lead. Considering the issue, his manager asked if any other projects stood out. Jaehee reflected for a moment. The only other script with a high score, 90, was a comedy, but it gave off the vibe of a B-grade movie. Judging an actor's potential from just one project was difficult, he thought. The quality of the film mattered most, but even a high rating didn't guarantee box office success. Since he was still building his reputation, he had to be extra careful in his choices. Ultimately, what he needed was a project with strong audience engagement and minimal risk, something that could elevate his recognition without backfiring. His manager snapped him out of his thoughts by handing over another script for inspection. The title read The Fisher. Jaehee sat studying the script when team leader Park entered the room. The project seemed promising. Park added, it was written by a well-known director whose first film hit over 2 million views, while his second skyrocketed past 10 million. Park asked if this was what Jaehee had been hoping for. The project is solid, but Jaehee couldn't ignore the poor quality of the script at 60 score. Park misunderstood his hesitation, assuming he was worried about landing a role. He quickly reassured him that there was nothing to fear. They had worked with the director before, and securing a supporting role would be simple. Hearing this, Jahee's tone shifted. The thought of getting a lead role suddenly felt much more out of reach. Park confirmed it. An established actor had already been chosen for the lead. Since Jahee's main goal was recognition, his manager Hyun stepped in, emphasizing that even a supporting role in a film backed by a rising director and a famous actor was a golden opportunity. Park was already arranging an audition spot for him. Still, another script caught Jahee's attention, a project with outstanding ratings. Something about it gave him an unsettling feeling. Hyun noticed and examined the script himself. He recognized it instantly as an idol production, but explained that either project came from SAFA, the elite acting academy, then the rating made sense. Unlike other schools, SAFA carried prestige on a whole different level. After breaking down the significance of being featured in SAFA production, Hyun left Jahee stunned. The realization hit. This wasn't just a random script. Now he faced a choice. A film by a popular director with guaranteed exposure, or a high-quality project from a rookie director under SAFA. Jahee refused to limit himself. He made up his mind. He would pursue both. Later, on the road, Jenny teased him about his earlier declaration, but he remained locked in on the script. Their banter was cut short when Hyun, driving, received a call. Turning slightly, he announced the Fisher project had already given the green light. The response came faster than expected, thanks to Park's connections. Hyun explained the audition would be a closed one, with freestyle acting and only invitations. Jenny suddenly spoke up, requesting to go over the script with him. Jahee looked surprised until she explained that she had been waiting for him to secure an audition. Her next words, however, left him completely stunned. She believed without doubt that he would crush it. Failing wasn't even on the table. Shifting the conversation, Jahee asked about the Shepherd project. Hyun replied that they were still waiting on an email response, which could arrive anytime soon. From the way Jahee reacted, Jenny could see how badly he wanted the lead role. But expectations weighed heavy. With only one line in his previous project, Youth Train, the leap to lead felt overwhelming. That's when Hyun interrupted. Calmly, he reminded Jahee that he was still young and had already made impressive progress. There was no need to drown in worry. Instead, he should focus on how far he had come and look toward the brighter side of things. Those words brought a rare moment of reassurance. And most importantly, the manager reminds that it is Christmas, and since it is his day off, he wonders if Jahee has any other plans, maybe even meeting a girlfriend. If Jahee is unsure, he can still spend time at the company. But then a memory strikes. He decides his plan is to return home and ask the manager to drop him off. Understanding, manager Hyun heads to a department store instead. Jahee looks puzzled until the manager casually suggests checking his PayPal. Payment for the first episodes should have arrived. Also, it has been a long time since Jahee visited his parents for Christmas, and showing up empty-handed would not do. Realizing this, he agrees and heads into the department store. The next scene shifts to his family house. Memories surface of past excuses and missed visits, so the expectation of being scolded does not seem far-fetched. Still, he steps inside. His parents freeze as though a ghost has walked in. His mother is first to react, pointing dramatically while declaring her son a celebrity. His father, with little energy, stays calmer. Jahee tries to explain that he is only a side character, but his mother is already thrilled to see him appear on television. He explains this day is his break, and, more importantly, he has brought them something, though he is unsure if they will like it. His mother continues teasing while his father accepts the gift, only hoping it did not cost much. Jahee reassures them it is nothing serious, purchased with his acting fee. Both parents are surprised. His mother eagerly tries it on, her excitement clear on her face. Watching her joy, Jahee wonders why it took him so long to do this. She notices his expression and gently reminds him not to pressure himself, assuring him they are already happy. Feeling relief, he promises to bring something even better next time. Later, during a news broadcast, his mother notes that his show is about to air. Curious about what his father is doing with her phone, Jae-hee learns that she has been setting alarms, so she never misses an episode. Even more shocking, his father had to stop her from putting up flyers about his film debut. Jae-hee quietly thanks him for saving him from embarrassment. Just then, his mother walks in and questions their whispering. Jae-hee quickly improvises an excuse. She brushes it off and focuses on the airing episode. Watching the scene where Jae-hee shares dialogue with Yeri, she gasps, instantly teasing him about bringing Yeri over sometime. Or perhaps Carol, who looks beautiful and definitely wife material. Jae-hee insists it is all acting, but his mother laughs, convinced her son is only pretending to play hard to get. Shifting attention to Moon's song, she notices something off in his performance. With sharp instincts, she asks if the two fought on set, leaving Jae-hee scrambling to explain. At that point, his father interrupts, threatening to do the classic channel switch if they refuse to watch quietly. Typical father behavior. Yet Jae-hee is stunned by his mother's ability to catch even the smallest details. Glancing at his phone, he notices a missed call from his manager. It is supposed to be a day off, so why call? A DM answers the question. The director of the Shepherd Project wants a one-on-one meeting with him. Doubt lingers, so he calls the manager, who confirms it. The director was enthusiastic after reviewing Jae-hee's profile and wants to meet as soon as possible. Jae-hee thanks him while his mother listens nearby, curious about the call. He apologizes for breaking the moment and tries to keep the matter quiet, but his mother reads him easily. She does not press further, only expressing happiness that things are finally moving forward for him. Hearing this, Jae-hee feels genuine joy, realizing that piece by piece, everything is beginning to fall into place. The drama Youth Train predictably steals the spotlight and scores impressive ratings. But when it comes to the L&K Company Awards, Jae-hee's Company Awards, the title of Best New Actor falls not to Jae-hee, but to Lim Joo-won, the so-called fool of the company, known for always landing supporting roles, minus the Youth Train thanks to Jae-hee. Anyways, while scrolling through his phone, Jae notices news about himself. Just then, his manager calls, hyped with excitement. The reason is simple. Jae has been invited to meet the director of the Shepherd Project. His manager also suggests reading one of the director's earlier works, which he stumbled upon by chance. As Jae flips through the script, awe strikes him. The writing shows a meticulous eye for society's underbelly, vividly painting thug and gang life. His curiosity grows, and meeting this director now feels even more intriguing. A young man in glasses greets them with a warm smile, brimming with enthusiasm. Both Jae-hee and his manager are taken aback. This director looks nothing like the dark, gritty aura his work radiates. After exchanging pleasantries, director Park Jin-woo invites them to share a meal. Once seated, the director begins by thanking Jae-hee for making time. He admits never imagining that a rising star would consider acting in one of his films. Jae feels slightly uneasy at the director's overflowing praise, but Park Jin-woo presses on, pointing out how Youth Train has made Jae's name explode across social media. Despite the flattery, Jae is genuinely touched by his sincerity. The conversation takes a quirky turn when the director compares him to a fish, creating an awkward atmosphere. Still, he quickly circles back to the main point. Park Jin-woo has reviewed sample videos and photos of Jae from Youth Train, and in his eyes, Jae is the perfect match for his protagonist. Only after dropping this bombshell does he realize how loud he has been speaking. He then gives a detailed breakdown of the male lead, CEO Young Tak, a charismatic figure whose playful charm masks sharp, distinctive depth. Jae immediately grasps the full image of the character, and the role feels tailor-made. The discussion shifts to payment. Though the Shepherd Project is a feature film, its budget is tight. The director makes it clear the pay won't be high. Jae doesn't flinch. If money were the goal, he wouldn't be here. What matters is Park Jin-woo's potential. Jae is convinced this project could lift the director's career into the spotlight. Hearing this, Park Jin-woo swears he will never disappoint, dreaming aloud of box office success. Jae-hee is stunned. It's rare to meet a director who treats an actor as a true partner instead of a rival. Their conversation flows naturally, and at one point Jae-hee expresses heartfelt thanks for the chance to take on such a defining lead role. The character of CEO Young Tak feels like a perfect reflection of his own strengths. Curious about the director's past, Jae-hee asks if he has other projects in the works. The answer is unexpected. Park Jin-woo confesses he wasn't even a film major. His first and only project was created while preparing his portfolio for the SAFA Academy. Though it won awards, he always felt the recognition carried a sense of pretentiousness, and he considers himself nothing special. To Jae-hee, the truth is the opposite. Creating an award-winning film without formal training is already remarkable. He encourages Park Jin-woo, assuring him that success is inevitable. After that uplifting moment, the two clink glasses, a sign they are aligned in vision and trust. Still, the director has one more request, though slightly embarrassing to ask. He wants Jae-hee to recommend another actor from his circle. Jae-hee is surprised, assuming casting was already complete. Park Jin-woo explains he has received several recommendations, but most choices were only visually appealing and lacked depth. Jae-hee understands him perfectly. When asked about the specific vibe, the director describes someone eccentric, capable of portraying a wide range of characters. At that moment, only one face flashes through Jae-hee's mind. His best friend, the former actor now working at a cafe who gave up on the industry. Determined, Jae-hee decides to persuade him to return. As Jae-hee starts to explain, the director cuts him off mid-sentence, leaning in with eager anticipation for his thoughts. The scene shifts to Jae-hee's best friend's workplace. Manager Hyun tries to calm him down, assuring that if things feel too heavy, both he and Jinny can stay outside and give them privacy. But Jae-hee brushes the idea off, insisting everyone goes in together, almost like when a matchmaking system throws random teammates into the same squad. Inside, the atmosphere feels delicate. Hyun quickly teases Jinny, reminding her that staying outside was originally her suggestion. If she had been left behind, it truly would have been a disaster. Meanwhile, Jae-hee attempts to call out to his friend, but the guy's mind is clearly somewhere else. Moments later, he finally joins them at the table and breaks the silence by asking why Jae-hee came to visit. Jae-hee casually replies that he missed him, but Hyun immediately pokes at the situation, wondering if missing someone really requires dragging along both a manager and a stylist. Jae-hee stumbles, unable to answer smoothly. His friend jokingly curses him, saying he abandoned him ever since his popularity skyrocketed. The jab leaves Jae-hee speechless. Looking at his friend's cheerful expression, Jae struggles to find the right way to bring up his true reason, the request for him to return to acting. After hesitating for a while, he finally gathers the courage to speak. But before he can say anything, his friend cuts in, wishing him success in his acting career. Jae-hee's face turns unreadable. Still, he pushes forward, telling Hyun that running a business doesn't suit his friend's talents. Among all their peers, no one could act better than him. That's why Jae-hee came, to make one request. He wants them to act together again. Later in the car, the outcome becomes clear. His friend gave no straight answer, neither an acceptance nor a rejection. With nothing more to push on, Jae decides to set the matter aside for now. Just then, he overhears a tense exchange between his manager and Myung-gil, the manager of Moonsong. The news doesn't sound good. Pressing for details, Jae-hee learns that Moonsong and the director have clashed yet again. When they arrive on set, chaos fills the air. Staff scramble around, making urgent calls and trying to salvage the situation. A panicked assistant director rushes up to Jae-hee and Hyun, apologizing for barging in so suddenly. Jae-hee, keeping his cool, reminds him to breathe properly before speaking. He explains what happened earlier in the day. During the morning shoot, the director pushed Moonsong through endless retakes, raising his frustration. Eventually, Moonsong snapped, shouting back in anger. The root cause: 3 lines in the script had been revised without his preparation. The situation looks hopeless. When asked about Moonsong's manager, He reveals the man suffered a complete breakdown under the pressure. Hyun mutters his confusion. If the script was revised, shouldn't Moonsong have been given time? Especially since Moonsong isn't exactly slow when it comes to memorizing lines. Jae-hee thinks the same. A single line was removed and 2 more were added. Instead of exploding, Moonsong could have simply asked for more time. The director may be eccentric, but this reaction feels way over the top. Almost as if reading Jae-hee's thoughts, the assistant director adds that they had already given Moonsong practice time. When Jae-hee asks how long, the answer comes, over an hour. That's when Jae-hee lets out a cold, silent chuckle. At this point, it's clear. Moonsong isn't struggling. He's just acting like a complete asshole. The entire shoot grinds to a halt. Since the location is rented with strict hours, every wasted minute risks not just today's filming, but also missing the broadcast deadline. Manager Hyun's expression instantly darkens. The staff has tried every trick in the book. The crew has been more patient than saints, but babysitting Moonsong's ego is draining everyone dry. And of course, this isn't his first meltdown. The great male lead is throwing a tantrum over 2 revised lines. 2 lines, basically telling the director and crew to go screw themselves because reading extra words apparently hurts his soul. Already fuming, manager Hyun decides enough is enough and heads to face the clown himself. Meanwhile, the so-called lead actor, just chilling in his car like he's waiting for valet service. Manager Myung-gil suggests leaving, but nope, silence. Turns out the fool is memorizing the script and expects everyone to wait until he finishes like he's cracking in CIA. Myung-gil carefully explains the team is breathing down their necks and reminds him the rental timer is ticking. He even politely suggests speeding things up. Big mistake. That's all the excuse Moonsong needs to snap. The man unloads on his own manager, roasting him with every insult he can find his tiny dictionary of comebacks. Enter manager Hyun. With a strained smile, he asks what the genius thinks he's doing. Predictably, the same excuse drops, still memorizing lines. Never mind that he's been at it for over an hour. Hyun, already fed up, points out this is not his first drama and only 2 lines were added. But Moonsong isn't done. He fires back with the dumbest question possible. Whose side is Hyun on? He even insists Jae-hee manager should back him no matter what, because that's literally what the company pays him for. At this point, even Hyun's lips twitch like he's 1 breath away from snapping his clipboard in half. Watching from the side, Jae-hee finally gets it. Moonsong isn't acting out because the script is hard. He's acting out because he's the male lead. He thinks the title gives him a free pass to disrespect everyone. That's when Jae-hee steps up. He tells Moonsong to watch his tone when speaking to his manager. The entire atmosphere freezes. Moonsong blinks, stunned, like he just saw a background character grow a main character aura. Of course, he falls back on his tantrum again, waving the same excuse about memorizing lines. But Jae-hee sees through it. The man who should be the most reliable, the lead actor, turns out to be a rookie with the brain cells of an ant. Moonsong mistakes Jae-hee's silence for surrender. Very big mistake. Jae-hee finally drops the nuke. He tells Moonsong to run his lines 100 more times if he wants, but it won't change one thing. His acting will still be garbage. The set goes dead silent. Managers and staff freeze, jaws dropping. Moonsong, the so-called male lead, gets KO'd in 1 hit, like the bitch he is. Moonsong reacts instantly, while Jae-hee wears a wicked grin, ready for things to explode. Just as the tension reaches boiling point, manager Hyun steps in to calm the situation, only making Moonsong even angrier. The director slams his hand on the table, demanding the assistant director. With firm authority, he announces that the entire shoot is canceled. The assistant director nervously brings up the broadcast schedule, but the director cuts him off, insisting the shoot cannot continue since Moonsong isn't prepared. His voice rises in fury, demanding if the assistant director will take responsibility if Jae-hee gets hurt during the scene. Faced with hesitation, silence fills the room. Jae-hee lets out another smug smirk. almost as if the whole thing is a scripted performance unfolding perfectly. The assistant director steps forward, trying to remind Moonsong of the promise he made. Instead of listening, Moonsong storms out, muttering that everything is annoying. That was the breaking point. His manager finally loses patience and curses Moonsong, calling him a useless bastard. The assistant director instantly intervenes, desperately pleading with Moonsong in front of everyone. A display so pitiful that the crew can barely hide their disdain. After all, it's not like the entire script was rewritten. Memorizing just 2 lines shouldn't be this difficult. Manager Hyun quickly diffuses the lingering tension by inviting everyone to lunch. The assistant director jumps at the offer without a second thought, clearly eager to escape the mess. Jae-hee flashes him a thumbs up, amused by his quick thinking. Then comes the unexpected twist. The director himself personally invites Jae-hee to join him for a meal. The scene shifts to the staff dining area. Jae-hee thanks the director for the invitation, but before the director can apologize for the sudden request, the topic of the chaotic scene on set is raised. Jae-hee struggles for an answer, but the director lets it slide, thinking it's an inappropriate discussion during a meal. Instead, Jae-hee admits that he feels happy. To him, it's an opportunity. The director looks puzzled, unable to understand his meaning. Jae-hee explains further, speaking with quiet nostalgia. No one had ever invited him to a meal before. Back in the company days, he once heard from a senior how meaningful it was for extras to be acknowledged and treated with respect. A shared meal wasn't just food. It was a gesture, a sign that they would meet again on set. For someone forgotten by his company and pushed aside by juniors, this moment feels different. With the help of the script devouring system, he now experiences things he would never have imagined before. A junior actor walks by and greets the director, then turns to Jae-hee with a wide smile, showing genuine respect. Jae-hee greets him back warmly, treating him with the same courtesy once denied to him. The director watches this exchange in awe. In that moment, Jae-hee appears in a new light, not just as an actor, but as someone setting an example, a role model for others walking the same difficult path he once endured. The director keeps watching their interaction, a smile slowly forming as if he just came to a realization. He thanks Jae-hee first, leaving him slightly puzzled, before noting that he has finally made up his mind. Only later does Jae-hee understand the meaning behind it. His name starts showing up in every news headline, and on top of that, the director keeps adding more lines to his role. The result is more screen time for Jae-hee, while Moonsong's part shrinks dramatically. Even though Moonsong glares at him like he wants to murder someone, Jae-hee feels absolutely nothing from it. Soon after, the director calls him over. On the phone, he shows concern since Jae-hee is heading straight into the Fisher audition right after filming. After a short exchange, the director wishes him good luck, and Jae ends the call with the hope they will work together again on another project. The car finally arrives at the destination, and Jae-hee is left stunned by the sheer number of actors gathered for the audition. What shocks him even more is that this is an invitation-only event. Team leader Park is already present, having learned that Jae-hee finished filming earlier than expected. He confirms this, while manager Hyun adds that the day has been extremely busy. Both of them then start playfully patting Jae-hee's head, convinced he is walking the right path toward becoming a famous actor. Bringing the focus back, Jae-hee asks why the audition feels more like a meeting. Park explains that the director wanted to see everyone first, which makes Jae-hee wonder about the director's whereabouts. Hearing that he hasn't arrived yet, Jae-hee takes a moment to scan the room and freezes. Not one, but multiple top actors from popular films are present. The entire setup feels less like an audition and more like entering a martial arts tournament. Park reassures him to stay calm, and Jae-hee nods in agreement. That's when the director finally enters, apologizing for the delay. He expresses how pleased he is to meet everyone and admits he didn't expect so many actors to accept the invitation. The gray-haired man introduces himself as Director Manhwa. Apparently, all directors in this story wear glasses, which makes them easy to recognize. Manhwa wastes no time and dives straight into business. His new project, The Fisher, is described as a fast-paced action comedy centered around a prosecutor chasing an insurance scammer. The story's speed prevents viewers from overthinking, keeping the energy sharp. The major roles, the prosecutor and the scammer, also called the Fisher, have already been auditioned by well-known actors, leaving room only for minor and supporting roles. With that, the explanation wraps up, and the director announces that the auditions will take place in the next room, with actors being called in one by one. Everyone nods in agreement as chatter fills the space. Just then, Manny casually drops a bombshell. The actor playing the Fisher, Samuel himself, will be present. The room goes silent, struggling to process the news before erupting in shock. Jae-hee stands frozen, realizing how massive this opportunity is. If Samuel notices him, it could change everything. After all, Samuel isn't just any actor. He's the legend who rose to fame from childhood. If you made it this far and feel the video is worth it, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Until the next recap,